1. This happened tonight, and it's not nearly as creepy as other posts on here, but it's giving me such bad creeps I can't sleep right now, so I thought it might be therapeutic to write it down. I usually go to the gym alone and late at night, between 8 and 10 p.m. It just works out with my sleeping schedule, and I enjoy the emptiness of the gym. The area the gym is in is usually safe. I've been going pretty much every day this week, alone, but today my mom decided she wanted to come with. We left the gym before 10, so it's completely dark outside. There's no one in the building we're in as we're leaving. Just as we're about to walk through the doors, I hear a voice behind me go, "Excuse me." I look over my shoulder and there's a man standing in the middle of the dark staircase that goes into a closed kids' arcade, and he's gradually walking up. Like a dumbass, I go, "Yeah?" and pause to see what he needs. My mom is trying to usher me out the door, but the guy is just getting closer, and I kind of froze in place. He's wearing jeans and a raincoat. He asked us if we came from the gym. After I said yes, he asked if he could use the gym because he's new around here, but has his black card membership, so he wants to know if he can get in. Alarms in my head are ringing. This guy isn't even in gym clothes. The gym closes in 5 minutes. He can just walk upstairs to ask the gym employee, and he's waiting in this dark-ass staircase to ask me? I quickly said, "Yup," and quickly walked through the doors with my mom. At this point, the guy is right behind me and walking out with us, and changed his plan by saying, "Oh, yeah, I'll go to the local bar to have a beer and food instead." I guess our cars happened to be relatively close to each other, because he kept walking behind us the rest of the way. The creepiest part was when my mom and I reached our car. I looked back at him and saw him closing his trunk. I have no idea if it was always open, but I know he had no reason to open it, because he had nothing on his person. No gym bag, no nothing. I'm just really thankful my mom was there, because if not, I have no idea what would have happened, or what I would have done. It seems like he'd seen me go to the gym alone before, and was waiting for me, but didn't expect my mom to be there too. So creepy guy waiting in the staircase. Let's not meet again. This started when I was in 8th grade, and I had several interactions with him. At the time, I was super into dyeing my hair. I did all kinds of colors: teal, blue, mint green, purple, pink, rainbow. One day when I was walking home, a man with a pink strip in his hair drove past me, said he liked my hair. No big deal. I was happy for the compliment. It started getting weird though. A few days later, he showed up at my home again. This time he was walking with a small boy, a technique used by predators to make them seem more trustworthy. He started conversation with me. He said he was new to town and was looking for friends. He complimented my hair and gave me a CD of some musician he liked. Keep in mind this man was at least 40, and I was clearly a child. Purple and pink hair, backpack, and the only nearby school was the middle school I went to. I nervously accepted the CD and got the hell out of there as fast as I could, taking weird shortcuts and wrong turns home. He continued to show up with his toddler several more times. Each time I would either turn around and take another way home, or ignore his attempts to talk. Eventually he seemed to give up and I didn't see him for months. Until I started high school. I was walking home from high school and there he was. Keep in mind the high school and middle school are several miles apart. A normal walk around the block wouldn't take you near both, especially with a toddler in tow. He spots me across the street and loudly says to his child, "She used to go the other way." He starts crossing the street and I walk away as fast as I can. I don't know if this was just all weird coincidence, or if he really was as creepy as he seemed to me. Either way, I haven't seen him in a few years, and I hope I never do. My bus route was long, anywhere between 1 and 2 hours. and I was one of the last stops. It was on a really rural route with lots of mountains, dirt roads, and holloways. Being a rural area, most of these hollows were long, windy roads that families and relatives lived on, and normally just 1 to 2 families of kids to be dropped off at the same points. This meant that if a particular family or kids didn't ride the bus that day for whatever reason, that the bus driver could skip that hollow and save us anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes off the total route. How could this ever be a bad thing, right? Well, one particular hollow, about 5 miles long, had only 2 stops for 2 different families. But the second family lived at the furthest point. It was easily 3 to 4 miles past the first family's drop-off point, down a crooked, dead-end, single-lane dirt road. It was the worst part of the route each time. Now, on days the second family did not ride the bus, if the driver skipped driving all the way to the second family's house, then it would save 20 minutes round trip, not to mention the stress of driving on that claustrophobic dirt road in a huge hulking school bus. There were also times the family waited to pick up the kids in their own car at the first drop-off to save the bus time and spare the experience of driving that road. So, of course, whenever they could, the driver would turn around at the family's first drop-off point. However, this was not as smooth a turn as going the full way to the second family's house. This drop-off point was a small circular area with a couple different driveways sprawling off, only one of which was large enough for a school bus to fit, and definitely not big enough for a bus to do a 360 turn in one swoop. But with the help of the one larger driveway, a 3-point turn could get us out of there easy peasy. At most, the bus needed 2 meters of the driveway space, and hardly 30 seconds of its time. We do this happily for as long as I can remember, until either new residents moved in, or the existing residents of the trailer in this driveway, about 20 meters away, lost their minds. Suddenly there's a large red farm gate at the extreme end of the driveway. No possible way for the bus to turn around when closed. For the first few months, whenever we cut this route short by turning there, the driver would stop the bus during the 3-point turn, open the gate, barely reverse into the driveway, pull out, stop the bus again, close the gate back exactly as it was, and get back on the bus and carry on, saving us all 20 minutes of needless driving. Keep in mind this only happened when the second family either did not ride the bus or was being picked up at this point. Then one day we turn up and there's now a lock on the gate. So we drive the 20 minutes and carry on. Still, each time we have the chance to turn, the driver would check if it was unlocked. I do not know if it was ever requested to leave it unlocked, but I know from the driver's reactions they wanted it to be. So if it did happen to be unlocked, we would take the shortcut, and the driver would put the gate back as it was. To my knowledge, no one ever complained about this. Then comes the day of the trap. We get to the first bus drop-off. The second family was not riding the bus. Nothing looks amiss except, hey, what do you know? The gate is open. I can remember the smile on the driver's face as she puts the bus in reverse and begins the turn. At this point in the ride, it's just myself and 3 to 4 other kids, only being a grade above me, and I was barely 6 years old. Of course, I was chattering away with my friend and did not notice at first that we had stopped. Once I did start to look around. However, to my confusion, there was an assortment of ATVs and actual cars that had pulled out of the side driveways to surround the bus. Every single direction. To make it even more confusing, and thinking back, horrific, they all had an assortment of weapons. Yes, guns. Now I'm 6 and grew up around guns. I wasn't scared by what I saw, but I also didn't realize I was being held hostage at gunpoint. All I remember is feeling of profound confusion, of not being able to work out why are we sitting here? What are these people doing? And why are the other kids crying? Maybe I was blissfully ignorant, but the driver told us to play on the floor and don't look out the windows. So me being me, I propped up my jacket over the window in my seat and told everyone we could play under my row, and I ended up having a great, albeit slightly boring, time waiting. It went on for what felt like hours, and I never looked out the windows during it, but I'm sure it was really 1 hour at most, give or take, because our parents slowly started showing up looking for us. I remember 2 kids being allowed off the bus before me. Then, as I was growing truly bored, my grandfather showed up to save me too. He came on the bus, spoke to the driver, and held my hand as we walked back to his truck. No one else saying a word except my cheery goodbye to the driver. I remember all of the gang just staring her down as I walked away, and she never moved from her seat the entire ordeal. I don't know what happened after I left. It was only later that I grew up to realize the severity of that event. I know for sure my grandfather and parents called the school system, but I never heard of any punishment or follow-up. The gate was never left open again, and we still had to drive that route each day. Always driving it all the way through, except for those blissful days both families of kids did not ride and we could skip it all together. The same bus driver stayed on the route. She was honestly an angel to remain so calm and collected throughout. It was possible to shorten my bus route by at least 20 minutes using a personal driveway to do a 3-point turn. This was never a problem until one day the driveway had a gate put up, and occasionally locked. Whenever it was unlocked, we could still use it, until one day during the turn, bus was surrounded and taken hostage by rednecks on ATVs with guns. What has this world come to? This happened to me when I was around 12 to 13 years old. So I used to live in a bi-level house. This means only a main level and a basement. My room was downstairs with 2 windows facing the front of my house, where you could see everything inside. One evening after hanging out with friends and a long school day, I laid in bed and fell asleep with my curtains wide open. I woke up a few hours later, around 2 a.m., to see a weird shadow at my window. It freaked me out. I turned on my lamp to see a man running away full speed. I was so scared that I didn't sleep the rest of the night, and I didn't open my curtains for days. A few weeks later, I found out that a man was arrested for stalking and kidnapping young girls in my town. He was found about 4 blocks away from my old house. So, man at my window, let's never meet again. This actually happened yesterday. I was making a late evening pickup to Domino's for dinner. They didn't have my pizza ready yet, so I left to go over to the Publix next door. This guy saw me and waved me down. I stopped for who knows why, and he caught up to me and asked if I had any cash. I replied no. He pointed out the green sticking out of my pocket. I told him that I had to buy a pizza for my family with that money. He said, "So, your family has eaten every night this week, needs food more than a person who has eaten nothing in 9 days?" I replied with a "sure" and walked away, got a cart, and walked into the store. I thought that was the end of it, and I went to check around. I was walking down the cereal aisle when I heard a cart run into a shelf. I turned around and it was the same guy. I had wondered if he had been following me. I just forgot about it, thinking he wasn't. I got to the checkout with cereal and he was sitting on the bench. I quickly paid and started walking out as he got up. He tried to push me off my cart to steal it, and I pushed him pretty hard. He fell but managed to grab that $20 cash out of my pocket and ran. Security ran after him, but the guy got away. Had to pay for the pizza with my card, which is money out of my account, not my parents', which is supposed to just be for gas money. Now I'm short $16 and had to explain how this guy robbed me. I guess it could have been much, much worse. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you all enjoyed those 5 true scary stories. Please be sure to like, comment, share this video, and subscribe for future content. If you guys have any stories you want to share, email me because my email is in the description box below. It is thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I would love to feature your scary stories in upcoming videos. Hope you all have a great Valentine's Day and had a great week. Till we meet again, stay sinful.